Okay, two things before I get started. The first thing is that I'm not going to have too much editing in this video because I don't really want to spend too much time on this topic. The second thing is that this is kind of a part 2 because in this video I said I couldn't play Moko because I was using an iPhone 7. But now with an iPhone 12 I can finally play the game. Okay, but with the two things out of the way, let's get started. Okay, so I finally got around to playing Moko, and wow, I really don't understand this game, or at least how so many content creators got addicted to it. Now, this isn't one of those videos that are gonna be like, you shouldn't play Moko, but this video is just here to voice my opinion on the game. Okay, but I haven't really been talking about the game, so let's talk about the game. First, let's go over why people even play games. The gameplay. Moko's gameplay is that you walk forward and beat up enemies. Overall, this gameplay can definitely be exciting, but there's one thing about this that sort of ruins the game for me. And that is, instead of having an attack button, you just have to hold the button to attack. Overall, this gameplay isn't really too riveting to me, because all I'm doing is just walking around and holding on a button. But with an attack button, I actually have to aim the attack, making me more invested. This means the gameplay is way more comparable to Squad Busters than Brawl Stars, because in Brawl Stars you actually have to, press a button to attack. But in Squad Busters, your squad is attacking for you, which is practically the same as holding that button. I will go over the comparison between Squad Busters and Moko later, but for now let's go over the extra abilities. Now these extra abilities make it easier to kill enemies. And considering you just have to hold an attack button to attack enemies, these extra abilities just make it easier. Overall, these extra abilities turn a boring game where you walk around and beat up enemies into a boring game where it's really easy to beat up enemies. But overall, Moko's gameplay isn't really gelling with me. Okay, but what is even the incentive to beat up enemies? Well, that incentive is just XP. Overall, because of this, it really just feels like a really boring grind fest. And because the gameplay is only just beat up enemies, it's not even a fun or interesting grind fest. It's just a grind fest. To show you what I mean, let's compare this to Squad Busters. In Squad Busters, you also just walk around and beat up enemies. But that's the key word, squad. There's an actual reason why you want to beat up enemies. Because then you can build up a squad. And you're also up against other squads, making the game feel way more dynamic and fresh every time you play it, rather than just being dropped in an area and being tasked to beat up enemies. Plus, with the game randomly deciding which map and modifier you play with, this overall makes it so that if you play 10 Squad Busters games in a row, no game will feel the same. If you had to play 10 games of Moko, every game will feel the same. Keep in mind, I'm talking about Squad Busters 1.0. If we're talking about Squad Busters 2.0, we've got heroes, hero abilities, squaddies abilities, and game modes. So as we can see here, Squad Busters has got far better gameplay, and the game mixing it up here and there. Overall, combining all this together got me hooked, and Moko only has 2 of these, doing practically nothing to beat up enemies and abilities. So overall, looking at all this, it feels like Squad Busters is the far better game. Now, I may not understand Moko's gameplay or how you're supposed to play it, but that's how I look at things. And looking at things in this perspective, Moko feels worse. So the gameplay is a bust, but let's hope Moko's progression system makes up for it. Okay, so Moko has got 2 progression sources, leveling up, and I'm just gonna call it the Moko Pass. Overall, 2 progression sources in a free-to-play game like this is not good. And that's because I think the reason why people get pretty bored of Brawl Stars' progression, because the Brawl Pass feels like the only good way to progress in the game. Because every other method of progression either feels too grindy or gives out too few rewards. And with the most recent update of this recording, they made it worse. Compare this to Clash Royale, where because there's so many progression sources, the game never really feels stale. Like we've got daily lucky drops, pass royale, trophy road, ranked, challenges, and masteries. Overall, because of all these progression sources, you can sort of play the game your own way. While in a game like Brawl Stars, because there's only one good way of progression, the game will just feel the same every time. Which is why I feel like Moko's choice of progression was pretty bad. Because not only does it feel like you're going to do the same thing every time, but leveling up at a battle pass will already just feel grindy in its nature. And the progression sources don't really help with the argument that the game feels like a grinding fest. If anything, it's making it worse. So the gameplay has failed and the progression has failed. What next? Well, the tutorial is next. This is the worst tutorial in a Supercell game. it's bad. Or who knows, maybe the gameplay is bad. But all I know is that the tutorial didn't really teach me why I should be playing this game. All the tutorial taught me was that the game will be a boring grind fest where you beat up enemies. And as I've already said many times in this video, Moko's way of doing it is not fun. So with a bad first impression, bad gameplay, and bad progression, does this game do anything right? Well, I have to be fair, and the game does do a few things right. First of all, the art style is pretty good, but I'll say why it's a negative later. And the amount of stuff they pumped into this game is actually pretty impressive. Like, it actually feels like a finished game, which I can't really say about Squadbusters launch. Plus, the developers have promised that this will be the first truly free-to-play game, because the only time they're gonna ask for money it is with skins. And while I know there will probably not come any pay-to-win videos in the game's future, I guess it's good for the game's health. Too bad the game itself isn't good. Now, if I had to be real with you, I personally didn't care too much about Moko. I just tried it out because hey, it's the new Supercell game. But I had the same feelings with Squadbusters when I first tried it out, and I like that game. So I feel like the only way they can bring me back to the game is by doing something like a Squadbusters 2.0. But luckily, Supercell is working on a Moko 2.0, and it has got nothing to do with Moko. Project Rise. Born from the ashes of Clash Heroes, Project Rise is really similar to Moko. I mean, they've got the same graphics, gameplay, and a focus on multiplayer, with the key difference being that Project Rise looks better. Not only do the assets look better, but the objective is way better as well. Instead of needing to mindlessly beat enemies to just get XP, in Project Rise, your goal is to climb up a tower while beating up enemies along the way. And that type of gameplay is just way more appealing to me. Your goal isn't to just grind out the game to get XP. There's an actual reason why you want to play the game, climb higher up the tower. Plus, instead of needing to hold a button to attack, you actually have to tap the button to attack. So overall, Project Rise looks way better than whatever Moko was doing. But that's the key word. It looks good, because I've never got the chance to actually play the game, but still, I'm quite hyped. But what was this video about again? Oh yeah, Moko. It's a fine game. There's nothing really wrong about the game, but I just think the game isn't for me. Now, if these were all the negatives, I would probably keep it on my phone. But remember how I said the art style of the game is pretty good? Because that's the main reason why I'm deleting it off my phone. Because Moko takes up more than 2 gigabytes, the most out of any Supercell game. I think it's because of all the detailed 3D models and maps. Because Squadbusters also has a lot of 3D models and environments, but Squadbusters' 3D models and environments aren't as detailed as Moko's. So that's probably why Squadbusters takes up about 1/3 of the amount of storage that Moko takes up. Because Moko takes up so much storage, I've got no good reason to keep it. Because why should I keep something that I don't really care about, especially if it's taking up so much storage? So with a not so heavy heart, I guess, goodbye. Also, I just realized that I didn't mention Clash of Clans once, despite I mentioned every other Supercell game I play. But with that, thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Talker, CR, and BS.